Good morning. We continue with our 35th lesson about classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy. I am Dr. Othonos Athos, President of the Homeopathic Academy in Greece. We continue with a series of case presentations. Last time we have talked about a case analysis of the psoric constitutional picture of Natrum muriaticum, and we will continue today with another case analysis. As we have said in the previous lesson, these are cases taken by my students, especially when they were at their first steps towards taking the case by themselves. I haven't seen the patients. They took the case in their office, and they sent me by email the case, and we've discussed it by phone. Sometimes we also discuss it face to face or in the classroom. It is important to have this case analysis taken by new homeopathic doctors, because cases that I take or other experienced doctors take have little notes, so there isn't much to talk about. So we have these notes of the doctor, and we will try to analyze and prescribe according to the classical miasmatic constitutional diagnosis. There are some certain steps that we follow when we analyze a case. The first step is just to give a first reading, a simple reading, careful reading of the notes, just to take a general picture of the patient. Then there is the second step, that we examine the background, the personal data of this man. Then the third step is to try to find the prevalent miasm that affects our patient, this man. After we decide the prevalent miasm or the combination of miasms, then we proceed to determine the essence, the main idea, the core of the heart of this man. And then, according to this miasmatic profile and essence, we are driven with the help of the rubrics to decide what possible remedies are needed. What are the main constitutional influences towards this man? And then we proceed to examine each rubric specifically to see if it complies to the possible remedies, or if it drives us to another constitutional picture. Finally, we do the miasmatic constitutional differential diagnosis. Let's begin by reading this case of a student of mine. This man is male, He is a man. He is 43 years old, height 175 centimeters, weight 101 kilos, divorced 2 years, has 2 children, 17 and 15 years old. They live with their mother. He is a businessman. He has his private enterprise. He comes to the doctor for complaining for colitis the last 3 years, which started, he never had any great problems with his bowels, but this colitis started after receiving Salospir, aspirin, chronically, after a stroke, not a severe one, a light stroke that he had 3 years ago. After that, he also has anxiety and feels tired and has no mood for exercise. 1.5 years ago, he had a phase where he had difficult erection, and he took Cialis for 1 month. He has a history of condyloma of warts at the genital area when he was young. He has nothing characteristic as to regarding hot or cold. He sweats 1 to 2. When we say 1 to 2, we mean 1.5. His sweat is offensive, smells bad, 1. He sleeps on his belly, on his abdomen. In the past, he used to sleep always on his abdomen. Now, grade 1, from time to time, or mostly. He has restlessness, quiet restlessness concerning his body during sleep. So he does the pillow and the sheets and the blankets a mess. He puts his feet out of the blankets even in winter, grade 3. Desire for sour taste 1, desire for salt taste 2, desire for fat and fatty food 1 to 2, desire for cold water, craving for cold water 3, even in winter, desire for spicy food. He likes the sea 2 to 3 very much, and he is very fond of extreme sports, grade 3. Irritability 2 to 3, very irritable. Expresses his anger to all. These are the notes of the student doctor, of the trainee. We will discuss it later. To all people, he expresses his anger no matter what. My speech is biting when he is angry. He gets off his anger after some days. He keeps no bitterness for the person that he had the contradiction. And he doesn't erase him as a friend or as a person. When there is injustice, even if it concerns strangers, he will interfere. In the past, he did it a lot, but now I am not going for it. The brackets means that it's his exact words, his own words. What about job? He gets angry at job, at his private enterprise, when the employees are lazy. when he is always rushing towards the job to be done and his employees are lazy. Affairs. I had quite many affairs, even at marriage, even during his marriage. No man is monogamic, he says. Yet, although he had many affairs during his marriage, he has an aversion for cheating when his wife cheats on him, or when his wife is indifferent. What about kids? What makes him angry regarding kids? Being attached to their mother. When the kids are attached, because the kids are attached to their mother. When the kids, at puberty age, caring only for their interest. When they keep sucking me, playing a good behavior and say how good you are in order to get money or something else. We use his own words, when they suck me, metaphorically. Afraid of death, 1 to 2. A big spender. This is a note of the doctor who took the case. He may have asked him about if he spends a lot or if he's strict with the money, and he said that the conclusion of the doctor is that he is a big spender. Bored, 1 to 2 lately. Introvert, 1 to 2. He considers himself smart, grade 2. He has no interest in reading books. He likes to see movies, especially science fiction, adventures, and lately documentaries. This is the notes of the case. A first impression is that we have a case that hasn't got many notes, hasn't got too much information. Then we start analyzing the case according to the rules of the classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy and diagnosis, in which we give emphasis not on the parts, on isolated rubrics or a combination of rubrics, but to the general picture, to the whole, and especially to the miasmatic characteristics during the state of clinical health, and to the psychological characteristics during the state of clinical health. As you can see, we have not we haven't given any, the doctor that took the case, and I agree with him, didn't give much attention to the present disease. I mean, asking about the modalities of the pain or the distension of colitis and so on. Because we don't practice repertorizing or keynote prescribing or computer expert systems. And because we give emphasis not on the physical part, not on the physical symptoms during the acute phase, but on the psychological and miasmatic characteristics during the chronic illness, according to homeopathy, or the state of clinical health according to allopathy. We also give attention to his general physical characteristics, not symptoms, characteristics, during the state of clinical health. So, hot, cold, nothing special. Sweat, perspiration, 1 to 2. Let's now first see, after the first reading, see the background, the personal data of the person. We have to do with a male, 43 years old, fat, 175 centimeters height, and he's got 101 kilos. He's quite fat. Divorced the last 2 years, 2 children at puberty, a private businessman that cares much about his work, as we can see when he says that he is all the time dealing with his job, while many employees are lazy. Another thing that is important is because he had that light stroke 3.5 years ago, he started feeling tired and anxious, maybe afraid a little of death also, divorced also, problems with difficult direction some time ago. So he's not at his best the last 3 years. He is pressed. He has lost his energy and mood, which he had, from what we can understand, a lot before that light stroke and before his divorce. We also have to do with a man that had quite many relations even at marriage, although he doesn't like his wife cheating on him. And this is the background. And then we start checking out to decide what is the prevalent miasm. The background shows clearly to me, even from the first reading, that he is not psoric. He expresses his irritability to all, his speech is biting, he easily gets off, he doesn't have any bitterness left inside. He will interfere if injustice, even for strangers. He is very active, he doesn't like lazy people and lazy employees. He is very active sexually. He was probably worried from the incident of difficult erection 1.5 years ago, so he took Cialis and he says that it is his belief, and he thinks that this has to do with all men, that no man is monogamic. So he has an active sexual life in the past and now, and he doesn't believe in monogamy. Nevertheless, regarding him, regarding his partner, the double morality, double morality, one morality for him and one morality regarding others, he will get angry if his wife is cheating on him or he is indifferent towards him. But he is a man, so he can go with many women and there's no problem, it's quite natural for him. This is a psychotic man. These are the characteristics of the psychotic miasm. Let us examine these characteristics of the psychotic miasm. He is a very he cares too much about his performance for sex, probably. He is quite active. He doesn't like lazy employees. In the past, he was also exercising at the gym, but no mood for exercise lately. He is very fond of extreme sports and of the sea. These are psychotic characteristics, sometimes even syphilitic when we come to extreme sports, but mainly psychotic. He also has quite a strong, some strong tendency for extreme tastes, spicy, cold water 3, salt 2. Let me remind you that he had recently a stroke, so he is more or less taking a little bit care about his diet. Something also that complies with his psychotic nature is that he is quite irritable, but he gets off after some days, and he expresses himself to all. I would say that this is 3, not 2. Yet, he is easily off, no bitterness, no raging. Affairs. This is quite psychotic. I had quite many at my age, and maybe not only he is not feeling bad to say it, but maybe he's proud about it. My feeling is that he's proud about it, and that is also derived from this sentence: no man is monogamic. That is, I am not monogamic, nobody is monogamic. Don't hear all this shit about that there are men that are monogamic. Everyone wants to have sex with many women, and so that's me also. He says, a big spender, says the doctor, that is interpreted as that he's a man that he likes extreme sports, food, 101 kilos, extreme sports, strong tastes, the sea, extreme work, sex, many women, and having fun. These are all psychotic, mostly. He also considers himself quite smart. He's bored reading books. I think this means that he's not an intellectual person. He's more the physical type. Sports, eating, sex, and so on, and not so much intellectual. That is a very characteristic psychotic shade. Movies, adventures, science fiction, light movies, not too much intellectual movies, to have fun without tiring his mind. So we don't see any psoric aspect. We see a quite strong psychotic miasmatic influence. What about syphilitic characteristics? There isn't any much of it. For example, he may say that his speech is biting, but he doesn't keep it. He doesn't have any disposition to erase him, the other, to have bitterness or anger for long, or revenge. He is not very contradictory. I am not going for it. Well, regarding the double morality, that is, I will cheat and it is normal. I will cheat my wife and it's normal, but she won't cheat on me. This is not. This could also could be syphilitic, but it is also very psychotic, because he considered it normal for himself, being a man, that we are all polygamic as nature. But when it comes to cheating from the part of his wife, then his male honor, his male ego is insulted, and that's why he doesn't like this. And this is a psychotic, mostly, characteristic. Nothing else syphilitic I can see. So he's mostly psychotic. The next step is to start thinking of probable constitutional influences, probable remedies. The first thing is Medorinum. Medorinum is the typical representative of the psychotic miasm, and it is very easy to find in men, in males. We could also think of phosphor, which is psoric as to ideas but psychotic as to expression. Something else to think of is sulfur. Sulfur, we will see what reminds us of sulfur. And this is it. Let's try to see the characteristics that have to do with Medorinum, phosphor, and sulfur. Let's discuss first the less probable remedies. Phosphor, for example. One could think of phosphor because phosphor, like Medorinum, are psychotic as to expression. Yet Medorinum is psychotic also as to ideals and intention, while phosphor is very psoric as to ideas and intention. We could also think of phosphor because many times a Medorinum or a psychotic patient, after having a severe disease, may start having fears about death or about his health condition. And then he may he may come into the influence area of phosphor. Is this the case? Let's see about it. We've got a very psychotic past and present. Yet, he had that light stroke. He also had that difficult direction some 1.5 years ago. He started becoming tired and anxious. Yet, although the doctor says fear death 1 to 2, we don't find any more clues that this man, this possible psychotic and mentorinum man, has developed the full picture of phosphor, or at least many characteristics of phosphor. He is not too much afraid of his health. He doesn't care too much about his kids from what one can see. And he likes to have fun. And he is very sexually involved. Nevertheless, both phosphor and mentorinum are very sexually interested, have a great desire for sex, and they are very active and very able in this field. Yet there is a very important difference. Phosphor being psoric mainly as to intentions, because intention and principles are far more hierarchically on the top compared to expression. I may be very psychotic regarding expression, but the intention is much more important, much more decisive. So phosphor is mainly psoric, as we have talked and said in the lessons, in the previous lessons, yet his expression is psychotic, quite psychotic, and many of his diseases. In this case, we don't see this psoric intention. We see a man that is not intellectual, not caring too much about others, much more focused on having fun, extreme sports, sea, tastes, food, a big spender, and sex. Phosphor, if he were, or if he has become a phosphor under the influence of phosphor constitution, then he would start caring more about his health, afraid about his health, doing examinations, laboratory tests, running from one doctor to another, and he would become more sensitive towards his children, more sensitive, more compassionate. But there isn't such a thing here. He remains the same psychotic guy, yet a little bit more in a more severe condition. He has passed from pathology phase A, that is clinical health, to pathology phase B, where he has much problems with tired, anxiety, no mood for exercise, and so on. And much more bored. So we erase phosphor. Now we have to decide between mentorinum and sulfur. We mean the psychotic sulfur. We don't have to do with a psoric sulfur here. We have the psychotic version of sulfur. And if we come to see the case, we will see that this man was a mentorinum person, that after the light stroke, he starts having more rubrics, more characteristics of sulfur. Yet, are we going to prescribe medorinum or sulfur? We will see. We have already talked about the psychotic nature of this man. And this psychotic nature exists both on psychotic sulfur and medorinum. What are the characteristics of sulfur in this case, in this man? We have a person that is fat, probably because he eats a lot. He has a great appetite and he doesn't care about his form or about his look. And this goes well and complies with the face that he is now experiencing after the stroke. Tired, no mood for exercise, the laziness of sulfur. We don't have worse heat 2 or 3 as we have in sulfur yet. We have sweat, not much, offensive, not much. We would have expected the sulfur to be quite offensive as to all his secretions. He sleeps on the abdomen and restlessness body at sleep, which are medorinum characteristics. He has his feet out of the blankets, even in winter, which is a strong characteristic of sulfur, yet not only of sulfur. We could have expected to have a desire for sour 2 or 3 regarding medorinum. He likes cold water, which is a 3, even in winter, which is a characteristic of phosphor more, and of medorinum also, and of sulfur also. Desire for C2 or 3, a psychotic characteristic, prevalently a medorinum characteristic, and extreme sports is a very great characteristic of medorinum and of psychotic individuals. Usually medorinum is more irritable than sulfur, and medorinum is the one that who expresses it more, and to all. He is easily off, medorinum is easily off, no bitterness, no erasing, will interfere if injustice, even for strangers. Why does he do that, medorinum? Because he is the tough guy. Medorinum is the tough guy, the tough man. He is also the womanizer, the strong guy, the guy that feels very strong, as hard as a rock. He can do with this and do with that. He is an all-time classic. He can get over all situations. He is a great survivor, both on the material level and on the psychological level. Okay, he got divorced. Okay, he got angry for a while, and then he said, "Fuck the bitch." I use his words. Fuck the bitch. There are so many other women around us. I will fuck as more as I can. Life, we have only one life, and we have to squeeze all the juice out of life and have fun, fully have fun before we die. This is the philosophy, the psychotic philosophy of medorinum. To have fun. This is the meaning of life. We live only to have fun. Sometime we die and then it's gone. So why not have fun as much as we can and have sex as much as we can and eat and enjoy food and drink and alcohol and everything that one can have fun? Monogamy, psoric ideals, religions. It's not for him. He is the opposite of the intellectual guy. For example, Lycopodium is an intellectual guy. Psoric sulfur is the intellectual guy. Medorinum is the superficial guy. Superficial as to intellectuality, superficial as to emotions. He is more the physical guy. He cares much about his body for two reasons. Because he wants to be strong and macho man, and for the sake of showing off to women, to be a womanizer, to get laid. That's his concern, his main concern. That's why he says, I had quite many even at marriage. No man is monogamic. Everybody is like me, polygamic. We have some clues about sulfur also, because he is bored lately. He is introvert, yet sulfur usually is introvert 2 to 3. But he can also be, if he is a psychotic sulfur, introvert 1 or 2. Sulfur considers himself as quite smart and intellectual, while Medorinum considers himself smart but not intellectual. He is bored when intellectual guys start these intellectual discussions. It's more likely to eat, dance, have sex, be proud of himself and show off to women. So, from what we can see, Medorinum and the psychotic sulfur are very close to each other. Very close at this phase of his life. You see, the man, the individual, is one thing, and the constitutional influences that affect him is another thing. This man is not Medorinum. This man, it's correct to say that this man, at this phase of his life, is influenced chronically by Medorinum, and also possibly secondarily by the sulfur constitution. You see, constitutions is an external thing, an external energy nature that affects the etheric body, the vital force